This is iDesign Lab, a podcast where creativity and curiosity meet style and design. Curator of interiors, furnishings, and lifestyles. Hosted by Tiffany Woolley, an interior designer and a style enthusiast, along with her serial entrepreneur husband, Scott. iDesign Lab is your ultimate design podcast, where we explore the rich and vibrant world of design and its constant evolution in style and trends. iDesign Lab provides industry insight, discussing the latest trends, styles, and everything in between to better help you style your life through advice from trendsetters, designers, influencers, innovators, fabricators, and manufacturers, as well as personal stories that inspire, motivate, and excite. So whether you're listening to iDesign Lab during your commute, or in a cozy nook in your home or office, grab a coffee or a Chardonnay and join us on this elevated, informative, and lively journey into the world of all things design. Today, we're excited to welcome Ross Mandell, a dynamic figure with a compelling life story. Known for his intelligence and charisma, Ross has taken over 140 companies public and has been featured in over 130 newspapers worldwide. His journey reflects the highs and lows of films like Wall Street. After losing his father at a young age, Ross faced addiction but thrived as a stockbroker, earning up to $250,000 a month by 26. He earned the title Lord of London for his bold moves, including taking American companies public on the London Stock Exchange. However, his success led to scrutiny and a 9-year prison sentence. Now free, Ross is dedicated to giving back through an online course that teaches financial literacy and entrepreneurship. Join us as he shares his story of resilience and his vision for the future. Welcome to the iDesign Lab, Ross.
Welcome to the iDesign Lab podcast. Today we have a special guest, Ross Mandell, who Scott and I have known for the last 15 years. We've had the privilege to know his family, his fantastic wife. He is a very interesting individual. He has a very long career and is a pioneer on Wall Street. And you might be wondering what this has to do with design. But as we've stated through this podcast, and we also talk about designing lifestyle, designing career habits, and anything that we need to curate in our life. So Scott's going to discuss Ross's intro
we first met Ross 15, 16 years ago when Ross was, I'll say, designing and creating an MMA league. And I was in the production business. Ross came to me and said, I'm going to be doing this. I'm creating this MMA league. I need a production entity. I've got all these ideas, and creatively I need you to help me design this, launch this, and produce this. And that's what we set out to do. So again, it's, design very much involved in even creating an MMA league. But I think the really interesting thing about Ross is the fact, as a Wall Street pioneer and someone who's done the most amazing things in Wall Street, and, taking, hundreds of companies public?
They say 140.
140 companies public. I mean, that's just
That's
astonishing.
a good design.
Yeah. But that's not me. That's the United States government.
But when
Forbes,
you're taking a
the Journal.
company public, there's a design aspect involved in putting the pitch together, designing the pitch.
100%.
I mean, designing who you're going to take this to. And
What you're going to wear to the pitch.
Well, it's, I have a dear friend that on deal day, he has deal shoes.
I love that.
A friend of mine named Frank, and he had these, sort of ugly shoes.
Oh, but they were
every time
lucky.
he had a deal closing, he put those shoes on. Because the one time he didn't have those shoes on, the deal fell apart at the last minute. That's a true story. But I just want to say, for the purposes of this meeting, this conversation, I'll never forget how I met Scott.
Okay,
that was a
let's hear
very
it.
interesting day. So I'm launching this MMA league, and Don King, the famous boxing promoter,
he's a
going back
neighbor.
to Ali and Tyson, all that, one of the most, maybe the most famous promoter in history, was a partner of mine in that particular promotion.
Really?
Yes, and Don King, Malky Kawa, who now is one of the biggest
Right.
fight managers in the world, if not the biggest, with many, many world champions and all those different things. And Don King, I hired a production team to design the advertising and handle the reality show and make all that happen. But he was in Tampa. And I'd already had an agreement with him, and I was going forward with him. And Don King calls me and he says, listen, why are you going all the way to Tampa? I want to introduce you to a guy who's been doing
That's
things for
so
me.
funny.
And he's the best. He's the biggest. He's the brightest. And he's right here in Boca.
I love
You're
it.
driving 4 hours. And I know it's 4 hours. I just drove back and forth to Tampa on Monday to appear on a big podcast. And so, begrudgingly, because Don has something to say about everything.
I know.
He's a pain in the neck. And so myself and a couple of members of my team go over to 5-Star Entertainment. And when I walk in, it's like 25,000 square feet. There's a little waiting area. Then there's a long hallway.
Yes.
Before you get into the all the studios and the offices and everything. And on the wall are a collection of plaques.
Right.
Clio Awards, this award, that award, Grammys, Tonys, Emmys, just every single thing you could think of. Astro, and I'm like, this is a scam. Nobody could be this close to my house, and I don't know about all this stuff. And so these are all fake plaques.
The props.
And I give you credit if that's true.
Tchotchkes.
Right. But the truth is that he is an award-winning, highly established, highly respected, highly thought of producer and designer of projects, because every project is not merely produced. It's designed from start to finish, things that I didn't really understand.
I'll tell you, there was a period of time that my focus in business was so much about winning and earning those awards.
The recognition.
Yeah, I focused more on trying to win as many awards and not as much on the profitable side of the business. But I also looked at it as the more awards that I can win and get noted for would only increase the business as well.
Well, your resume is second to none. And, the quality of your work is amazing. And been to
But let's talk about your
been
quality
to your
work.
home. I've been to the studio. What? This is beautiful.
But let's talk about you. Let's
do
talk
it.
about your work. I mean, let's talk about taking a company public, taking 140 companies public.
Correct.
I mean,
So I talk about the 3 most important things in real estate. Almost every single person can answer that question. It's an adage. Location, location, location.
Right.
But if I suggest to somebody what is the most important 3 elements of business, profits and this, and a million different answers.
Right.
And it's just one answer. Structure, structure, structure. You can't build a 10,000 square foot house on a 2,000 square foot foundation.
Yes.
correct.
Can't do it. And so if you really are thinking properly,
Strategy.
but if you're looking,
Design.
especially with design, when you're designing a company from the beginning, right, and your aim is to sell it, to do a merger, an exit strategy. So like I said to everybody, even in this room, what's your favorite sign in this room? Tiffany might say, that my beautiful neon sign. I see the exit sign. I want to know in any room I get into, I can get out. And in business, you always want to know.
It's a design feature.
Correct.
For sure.
You always want to know, in a deal, how can you get out? In a business, how can you get out?
Right.
So most people, they don't think about these things until they're well into the game, and then essentially they have to redesign their structure, their whole proposition. So I've learned through literally 40 years of doing this that if I look at that exit sign, that big red sign you're going to see in pretty much every room, I'm going to design the business and the company first because I know where I want to go. I don't want to marry this business. I don't want it to be on my tombstone.
Right.
I want to build it. I want to earn. I want to make. I want it to be a legacy. But I want to know how I can eventually get out. I don't want to be stuck in the business because that's what happened to me. I don't want to ever be that guy.
So it's another form, as we keep talking about in this podcast, about design.
1,000%.
Designing on how you're going to open a business and how you're going to get out and how you're going to sell the business. Right. I mean, that's really important.
Yesterday, I met with my dearest friend, Stephen Freifeld, who happens to be waiting in the green room and making sure I come out of this alive, the exit. And we talked for an hour about the structure of a company called Raw Media that we're building.
Right.
Right.
And
that's another.
Where literally, I ran a few things by him. He didn't like it. The structure, the design of the company. as much as it is a science, it's an art. Okay?
Right.
It's an art.
It's so true.
And
I love that.
Every deal is different. Every proposition is different. Every exit strategy is different. So, if you find yourself designing your exit strategy when you're first founding the company, you have 1,000 times better shot of actually accomplishing it than if you figure out how you're going to do things along the way. So, you're engineering your design. And I love it. I never thought of it like this.
Which is part of like an interior design, which we're heavily involved in.
100%.
You've got engineers that are, taking care of the mechanical aspects of, redesigning a house or building a house or a building. And
right. When I'm
an
building,
architect.
when I'm building my next property, actually my next 2 properties, the first stop I'm going to make is with Tiffany, because I don't want to have to do something. She says, well, I wish you would have done this, and you would have put the wall here, and if you would have done this, you would have had the light, and you could have had the big room. So, you come to somebody that has that sort of expertise
Foundation.
up front, because I don't want to have to pay 3 times over. I'd rather go to Tiffany and pay just twice over.
But I'm going to tell you, that's the biggest thing that we find with clients that we have.
It's coming too late to the...
Correct. Now they got to knock down walls.
Correct.
Right.
They got to add a wing.
Correct.
It's painful.
Yep. Right.
As a former homeowner, I know these things.
Right.
I dealt with this. I actually found it better to buy the model home.
Right.
Because of,
I remember you telling
she
that
has
story.
a new client that came in that had redid their whole bathroom, did it all themselves, and now have come to her and said,
yeah, like
they hate what they did. They spend $50,000.
How can we redo it, reuse what we have, some of it, and it's like...
Which you might not want to do.
No.
But you're stuck with it now.
Correct.
And,
so it's all not great foundational,
right. I would come to you and say, this is the bathroom I envision.
Right.
Make it happen.
Right.
And in fact, I came to Scott and said, we're going to build me a podcast room.
Right.
And this is the room. And I didn't get it till today, but it's asymmetrical.
Yeah, asymmetrical
and that's
is our
attractive
new word.
to the eye. It's the new thing.
Yeah, that's our new word for today, is the asymmetrical.
I love it. And curate.
Curate is our word here.
In your intro, I love this stuff.
It's the buzzword for me.
I'm a wordsmith. That's
that's
brilliant.
why I say about curating lifestyle, curating business, curating behaviors, obviously curating your home, curating yourself. So as you're diving into this new venture with Raw Media, what was your first step in creating or curating where you wanted to take it to the ultimate exit strategy?
To be candid?
Yeah.
To be totally candid, the first thing I thought about is how much money I wanted to make out of this deal.
Okay. So that's like your exit strategy.
Why else would I go into business?
Yeah.
Business, if you look up business, I was going to say the dictionary, but there's no such thing really as a dictionary. It's like Google or e-dictionary.
I know, and you can't trust those either.
Correct. Exactly. It's a liberal definition. But Webster said, business is an entity that is created to make a profit.
I like
so
that.
the first thing I wanted to do was figure out if I'm going to spend X amount of years and I'm 67. I don't have time for a lot of errors and to make a lot of different moves. If you're younger, you don't have these concerns. But I would advise you to still curate as much as possible and make sure that your planning is essential. One of the greatest pieces of wisdom is failing to plan. Is planning to fail.
Correct. Planning to fail, right.
A lot of people say, well, I'm a seat in my pants kind of guy.
Right.
It's cute. But when you're 65 and you have no money and you have no business and you have no job and you're not in a great relationship, it's not so cute.
No.
So plan.
It's time to make a
plan. Use your
structured
God
plan.
gave us an intellect. And I just want to say one thing. These people are not for everyone. These people are for the top gun, the elite, the people that want the most to get the most out of their lives. If you just wake up every day and say, what am I going to do today? To
get by.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to be with the Woolies and TW and Tears, but if you're a winner, if you're a serious person, if you want to get the most out of life, out of your home, it's a lifestyle, really. A home is a lifestyle.
Correct.
You have, you're not an A-lister in this town unless you've been to a Woolley party.
Oh, that's true. That's another thing we design. Parties.
Correct. Your parties, your backyard. It's
Design the experience of the evening.
Correct. I can't wait for the next Super Bowl.
I know, me too.
I don't care who plays.
My
I
kids
just want to
are
come to
very
your party.
excited also, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's amazing. And
funny.
We get people during the year that text saying, your party that's coming up, when is the next one coming up? How do we get invited?
Yep, exactly. And I'll tell you, they have a beautiful daughter, Kensington, who I know since basically she's born. We call her Kenny. And she's not a big smiler. But I'll never forget that Super Bowl
when
party.
you get one.
Right. When I was at the Super Bowl party, I'm screaming, Kenny! Kenny! She was smiling. She had a great time.
I know, she does.
And so that was something that really sort of got me high in the moment because it was just such a great feeling. But I would call it the Woolley lifestyle, for real.
Yeah. Let's get back to Let's get back to raw media.
Okay.
Let's talk about the wealth formula.
Right. So believe it or not, the first thing I thought of is how many shares I want, how I'm going to go from A to Z. Mm-hmm. Z is my cash out, cha-ching, the register. Okay. I had already decided that I wanted to be. I'm a very, very fortunate because I spent so many years on the street that I'm able to see trends evolving because I've been able to see where money flows, okay? And I hate to say it, but, where the money flows, the trends happen,
right.
Or where the cool people are. Like in California, you see a lot of
Right.
trends. When I was a young guy, we used to go down to Soho. It was a shithole.
Right.
But that became the trends. I mean, in Miami, you have the district, what's it called? The art district.
Miami Design District.
Yeah, well, there's an art district. There's a name for it now. It's
Wynwood.
Wynwood. I was down there looking at property 15 years ago.
Wow.
And it was a ghetto. And people took me to the one restaurant down there that says, this is what I see, this, that. And, if I had my druthers, I would have owned a lot of properties down there. But some things happened in my life. So, you always look at the horizon. When they teach you to drive, you're not supposed to look right in front of you. You're supposed
Correct.
to look high in the windshield. And when sometimes you lose your bearings when you're looking like this, you look high in the windshield. So it's like looking out at a horizon. You have a better view of the world and of business. And so I saw the evolution of broadcast television. Mm-hmm. And I saw these giant corporations, the NBC, ABC, they're all owned now.
Correct.
By massive corporations.
Yeah.
And they have
Right.
massive legacy issues. And then one day, all of a sudden, I'm living in Manhattan, cable TV. All these guys came to Wall Street and said, listen, this is going to be a great investment. We're going to lay cable. I said, what do you mean you're going to lay cable? This is New York City. Well, we're going to run this cable to every building, to here, there, and everywhere. And I'm like thinking, how much money is that going to cost?
Correct.
How much friggin' time is that going to
Yeah.
take? But I started seeing cable TV, and I got it.
And
I got it.
now-
Remember they said cable TV was commercial free? I don't know if you know that was the beginning. Commercial free,
It
my
was?
ass. Right. And for those of you that are my age, the Robin Bird Show, Channel 35 of Manhattan Cable TV. It was the first sort of active, soft porn type thing.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, but that's what really helped build cable TV, believe it or not. Just like the internet was all pornography and gambling initially.
Right.
And that blew up everything. Every site that was in the top 5 was somehow pornography related, dating related, gambling related, devices. And then they
I guess it goes with the phone now, too, between all these games and
Correct.
apps
The video
and
games developed. So
Suck
I
the
saw
kids
cable
in.
TV, and then I saw everybody pivot. And now they had to go to cable. Broadcast TV was now a thing that was in the background. Everything became cable. And then then there's streaming. Now there's streaming.
Correct.
Streaming comes online. So now you have all these companies, these major broadcast companies that went to cable, spent all this time and money, and now they got to adjust again and go to streaming. In the meantime, a group of men, clever men, around 1999, 98, said, listen, we don't want any of those issues. We'll start our own company, and we don't have any of these legacy issues. We don't have to pay anyone's 401ks or retirements and all these obligations and leaseholds and all equipment and hundreds of thousands of people. And they call themselves Netflix. And they send videos in the
Amazing.
mail.
Right.
And now it's one of the biggest companies on earth
Yeah.
and most successful because they saw what was coming and said, you know what? I don't want to be involved with CBS or ABC. That's old.
And your hands are tied.
Well, you have what you call legacy issues in accounting. When you understand business, you understand, when you become sort of institutionalized. You create a lot of sort of issues that are cemented or rooted. You can't just unwind them.
Right.
Sometimes better to start a new thing. So then you had streaming. And streaming's big. And that's the way video was going to be translated. But now you have social media, utilizing streaming and the internet and mobile technology.
Yeah.
I mean, people are young people don't even buy televisions. And if they do, it's to watch Hulu
It's
and
true.
Netflix.
Even with designing, it's very, people don't even care to have them as much in certain locations anymore in their homes in general.
I'm telling you, young people around the world don't even buy televisions.
No.
They watch everything on
I
their
know.
phone.
Everything's
That's the way
on
our
the
kids
device.
are.
And maybe they buy
They don't even watch-
even when they have televisions, they're watching on their
It's true.
phone.
We're in the family room watching something as a family, trying. Everybody's still
Well,
watching their own screen.
When they're turning the TV on, they're watching YouTube. They're not
YouTube.
watching CBS, NBC.
Right, no,
they're not
Hulu,
watching A&E
Netflix,
or
YouTube.
Discovery.
Well, and they're
watching
not
YouTube.
even watching, shows. They're watching curated
Clips.
Well, and that, families, people who are truly just putting themselves out there, and they are creating their own content.
So let's get back to raw media.
Yes.
'Cause let's.
So I
wanna
saw
talk
that.
more
I
about
saw
that.
this.
There's a new venture that you're launching.
I saw the evolution of media, and now you're seeing that the streaming service, everybody's pivoting again. There's
Right.
another pivot.
Right.
And I would say to you, my proposition is that social media is here to stay.
Correct.
This is not going anywhere
Do you
until they
see-
put chips in your head.
Yeah.
And
Which is
and you can hear
already
everything
happening.
that way. I understand, but it's different. I mean, I
Correct.
read about Musk's Neuralink and all these wonderful things that are coming, but social media, for the first time in the history of the world, everybody is going to be connected. It was 5 billion, now 6 billion. It's going to be soon 8 billion people, thanks to people, brilliant men like Elon Musk, that are launching satellites in space,
right.
building rockets, and he owns, 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 1,000 satellites, and he's providing internet connectivity, Wi-Fi all
over the
around the
world.
world for
Yeah.
everybody.
Correct.
So now, when you have that phenomenon occurring, you could a lot of the naysayers and negative people like the poo-poo. I know people that still think the internet is just like a trend. I mean, and in an odd way, it is. But communication, the ability for human beings to communicate, and it's not lost on me. So, if you go back 5,000 years, 7,000 years. Human beings were on this earth. There's a lot of discussion and theory between religion and all these different things. But human beings crave social contact.
Correct.
Now, I remember when we were doing these deals with movie theaters and streaming deals, and they said, no one's going to go to the movies anymore. And I said, I disagree.
The experience will just be
Married,
different.
my wife and I, we're going to sit at home. We're not drinkers. We don't want to go to the bar. There's only so many parties that you go to. A night out was dinner and the movies.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I could cook at home all day. We could cook at home. Maybe not my wife, but maybe not Tiffany. But what I'm saying is that people go to restaurants. Why?
To get
You
dressed,
can cook at
to
home.
do something.
Go to a Woolley
to-
supermarket.
Yeah.
You buy stuff. Well, now it's very expensive thanks to the administration and inflation and the nonsense that's going on. But, it's a fraction of the cost of the restaurant. Mm-hmm. Why did my friend Stevie and I go sit in Carmela's and have a salad and a
coffee.
cappuccino for $40? Because it was social.
Yeah.
Right.
Human beings formed towns, villages,
Yes.
cities.
The history's
They-
so
everyone didn't
fascinating.
just go move in the middle of nowhere
I
because there's
know.
plenty of property around the world.
Right.
Even in the friggin' desert, people
Still
have
find each
clans
other.
right. And so they crave that
And
connectivity.
assimilate.
And that's not lost on me. So anything I do, any business I do, consider. I look at the history that affects it. And I believe that there's going to be an enormous amount of connectivity, even from where we're at. Believe it or not, we're really
only
just at the
scratching the
beginning.
surface.
We're
I
at the
agree.
beginning stages.
I agree.
So then I looked at that's a phenomenon, and that's where raw media comes in, because people are tired of the canned bullshit we're sold on broadcast media and now cable media. I mean, if you watch the vice presidential debate last night,
I know.
CBS moderators would totally.
They're
It was
only
like Vance
speaking-
was fighting 3 people.
Correct. They're only speaking to
Right. So there's an
a small
agenda and all
audience.
these different things. But I go on TikTok and I look at stuff, and I go on Facebook and I go on Instagram and I go on Twitter.
And you get to think for yourself.
Right. There's a lot of nonsense.
Yeah.
But it's up to me to
Big
decide
side.
what I like.
I agree.
These sort of corporate media giants, now the streaming media giants, unfortunately, you're looking at their agenda. Google. This is a great story that Grant Cardone ran an ad for Donald Trump.
I love how he's been speaking up a lot lately.
It was rejected by Facebook.
Really?
Yep. And so then he did something very interesting. He just took Trump's picture out. He left the same video.
I did hear this.
And he put Kamala Harris's picture on it.
Yeah.
Just that's all he did. There was
Yeah.
not one other change, and Meta accepted it right away. So it shows there's even bias
Everywhere.
everywhere. However,
Raw media won't
raw
have
media
bias.
is raw by definition. I'm a raw type guy.
Yeah.
It's not lost on me that RM, raw media, the initials, my initials, very interesting stuff.
Yes.
And so the first thing I do is look at the industry. I understand this media is a great place to be. Here's why for me. I was a big name on Wall Street for a lot of years. I made a lot of money. I was very sought after as a speaker, as a broker, as a trader, as a deal guy, all these different things. I'm a make it happen guy. And
You help launch a lot of companies.
a ton of companies, but even more importantly, a lot of the young men that I've trained, mentored, and tutored all became millionaires.
Right.
Not all, but a huge amount. Probably some guy wrote a book on the history of Wall Street and puts me in there, stating that I'm responsible for more Wall Street millionaires than any one person.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I would never say that, but I'm repeating it because
It's now in writing somewhere.
if Google says it, it must be true. And the United States government claimed that I'm a cult leader, that I have minions that will buy and
that's what
sell
they like to
anything
say
that I
about
do.
anyone that doesn't group
Right.
think like them.
Right. So, because I wasn't part of some country club, or I didn't go to Yale, and I didn't go to Harvard Law School, and all these different things. I'm not a member of a bar association. I'm not affiliated with any big political party.
Right.
I'm politically agnostic, and so I'm looking at the media business, and I'm looking at who I am, what I can genuinely offer, because for about the last 35 years, if I don't believe in something 1,000%, I can't sell it.
Right.
I don't want to sell it, and I can't even sell it because as a younger man, I was naive. I went into the business
That comes
world.
with confidence.
I met a guy, and he says, dude, here's what we're doing. It's a great thing. And I was like, okay, what's my cut? And I went out and I just did it. And you learn a lot of hard lessons in life, especially when you're talented at that particular kind of field, selling and persuading and pitching and presenting, etc.
Right, but you're about to launch your own platform.
Correct. And
You're already out there on social media.
Correct.
Promoting.
Correct.
So let's talk about what you're launching, because it's fascinating in what you're about to do and how it's going to change millions of lives, especially if people get involved and they sign up, because
Correct.
you're about to launch something that's going to give the ability to educate
The wealth
millions
formula?
of people. Yes.
The wealth
cool.
formula.
It's a
And
quick-
every
curriculum.
person who wants to go into business, and every person who's in business who needs that boost and that little bit of help and doesn't know how to do it. The guy who owns a pizza place and makes a fantastic pizza, but knows that he's doing a really great amount of business, but he could open up 2 or 3, but he doesn't know how, because all he knows how to do is make a great pizza.
Right.
But you're about to give the world a formula of how to do all that. Let's talk about that.
Right,
'cause
so
it's like,
You
We've
designed
established it.
that formula.
Yeah, thank you. We've
because that's
established
designing something
100%.
to help the masses.
This course has been designed with a tremendous attention to detail. And it's
Right.
extremely comprehensive. It's called the Wealth Formula. It's a 114-page text, which will be digitally downloaded. It includes
But it's broken into modules, correct?
13
Video
different
modules.
chapters, 13 different modules. Each module is actually me in a studio explaining the material in a very entertaining and personal way.
But extremely educational.
Beyond educational.
For
It's
an
life-changing.
individual, yeah.
Right. It's life-changing.
Life-changing.
I mean, it's actually life-changing. And we've established over the last few minutes that the world is going to be connected.
Correct.
Right.
Everyone's going to have access.
Yes.
Think about the millions of young
Well, the
people
world
in
is
China.
already connected. It's
But
just,
I mean, millions of people are going to have access now to secrets, to knowledge, to experience. And who better than me to share my experience, my credentials, my resume in life, not just on Wall Street. You know, I've had a crazy life. I lost my father at 16.
I know,
I became a wild drug addict and alcoholic. I went on a 17-year run, so I understand that whole underworld, the netherworld, the dark side of the world.
You cleaned up. You've been.
I got sober when I was 30. Got sober when I was 33. Pioneered a lot of things in AA and NA and CA in the 12-step program. Sponsored and ran so many different meetings and spoke at so many places all around the world. And I understand what it's like to get married, to have children, to buy homes, to be on the come up in business. And then I got into legal trouble. I know what it's like to fight the awesome United States government. Right. I know what it's like to be convicted of a crime and be a felon. I know what it's like to go to prison and still not lose hope, not lose my motivation. In prison, I taught classes. I ran AA meetings.
But you're out there now motivating and helping people. You're doing mentorships. You're doing masterminds.
That's pretty much been the design
the people are signing up. People are, I know, logging into your website, the rossmandell.com.
Ross Mandell, 2 S's, 2 L's, by the way.
Yeah. But
2 O's, 2 L's.
To be educated by all that you've learned.
Thank you.
And now you're about to launch this course, which I understand is like, it's already launched.
Well,
people can already sign up for it.
You can sign up for it now. It'll be officially launched literally in about a week. And I'm in partnership with a guy named Brad Lee, LEA, from Lightspeed Virtual Training in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Who's pretty much the guy behind every other major motivational speaker who's got individuals who have courses and
correct
and whatnot. The Tony Robbins and the Grant Cardones and
Andy Elliott's, Russell Brunson, Damon John, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. So pretty much even Caesar the Dog Whisperer.
So you've teamed up with him to launch yours.
Right. He became
putting yours together. You've put together a world-class team.
A world-class team, and at every facet we've ticked every box, and we're going. It'll be a fully interactive course.
But what are some of the modules about? Like, what is a person gonna, what is?
Okay, so we talk about the alchemy of today's world. The alchemy is the ancient art of trying to turn a worthless metal into solid gold.
Right.
Okay, and my proposition is alchemy is happening right now, and we're giving you examples from 0 to 700 million in 2 years. I'm going to say that from 0 to 700 million in 2 years for a product that didn't even exist. That's alchemy, to be able to take something out of your mind, your imagination, and just
bring it.
Taking a few steps, running a Facebook ad, running to Wall Street, showing you have 3 million views, you have 80,000 followers, bing, bang, boom, you're launching liquid death. Okay, Michael Cesario. We talk about a primer on capital. Is the most important chapter. It's the first chapter. If I ask you what is capital, you say money, currency. What is capital? Machinery. We explain what capital really is and how to utilize human capital, physical capital, intellectual capital.
I was going to say, yeah.
Then we teach you how to create a vision board and a vision plan for your life. Then we talk about how to select the proper legal entity for your vision.
So an LLC or
a C Corp, an S Corp, a master limited partnership, and I use examples in every chapter of how I learned this stuff.
But you're breaking it down, designing it in a way that it's in layman's terms for the average person to understand this and to help them pick what they should be and how they should be setting it up.
I'm not a Harvard-educated kid. I was stoned the whole time in college. I just wanted to meet women and party and have fun. I really didn't learn one thing in college except how to socialize with other guys and women, and that worked for you. And don't knock it. I don't knock it because I was a hopeless drug addict, but I connected with some very, very aggressive, smart, sort of come-up type guys that are very ambitious, and I just sort of followed them to Wall Street. But we talk about how to select the proper legal entity. We talk about how to structure that entity for your vision, for your business. Now, I'm not a trust fund kid. I was sort of like a rough type kid from a sort of a middle class neighborhood in Long Island, and when I started with the drugs and alcohol, I was really thrust into sort of the netherworld. I have a saying. I say, if you're looking for bad in this world, you're going to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And when I got clean, I discovered that if you're looking for good in the world, you're going to find it. And so, that's something that I posit all the time to people that struggle and say everybody sucks and they're very jaded and everybody's a scumbag and people do bad. It's what you seek.
Yep.
You will find.
Yes.
And so we talk about how to value your proposition, how to structure it, how to organize it, how to pitch it, how to create a pitch deck, a business plan. You think you know, but
No,
you don't
there's
know.
so
I
much
promise
that goes
you.
into it.
This is the most comprehensive business curriculum that was ever written or introduced to the world. I challenge Wharton, Harvard, Stanford, MIT, anywhere else. I put our curriculum, my curriculum, up against any single text ever produced or written anywhere in the world. I'm challenging you all out there, all you educators, okay?
Well, it's an authentic curriculum,
This is
too. It's
real.
not
It's based
coming back
on me.
from
I'm not a trust fund kid.
Right.
I didn't go to Wharton.
Doesn't
I had to
have an
learn
agenda.
all these lessons in a hard way through experience.
But the curriculum is interactive. So when a person's listening and they're watching you,
Correct.
and they're learning, there's questions that you're basically giving the viewer, the
Right.
person.
We're guiding you live on the
Right.
screen, sort of quizzing you along the way, encouraging you, offering you other advice, and then there's an opportunity to engage me personally in what we call a mastermind.
Right.
And we just started with this, but I can tell you that I've changed the lives already of 2 young men that will testify to that.
Amazing.
Yeah, these are young men that have little businesses. They have nice little businesses. They
Really?
make 10
So
grand a month.
I'm familiar with the 2 that did a mastermind, but I know of others. Tiffany and I, 2 weeks ago, we were at an event for the George Snow Foundation.
Correct.
Big fundraiser. Guy went up, people dancing, raising money for the George Snow
Correct.
Foundation. The gentleman who won for the best male dancer, like Dancing with the Stars.
Correct.
His whole story is you
truly
helped him.
mind-blowing.
I mentored
It
him
changed
for
his life.
over 15 years, and it's a crazy story that even when I went to federal prison, he would come once every month or 2 and sit with me at federal prison. He would lay out what's going on in his life, and I would explain to him what I think he should do, what he shouldn't do. I helped guide him through a lot of the processes. He now owns, his name is Matthew Williams.
Yeah, he's got a very successful business.
2019, he was the Foot Locker Man of the Year.
It's so
Out of
cute.
100,000 entrants, he was the Man of the Year.
Right.
This was it was on a national TV commercial,
That's
produced by Foot Locker. They gave him $100,000. They ferried him around the country, and all that good stuff. He created a company called FroPro
Yep.
Right.
because necessity sometimes is the mother of invention.
I know.
And he couldn't afford store-bought proteins that were shitty anyway. And so he created his own little brand of protein, and then soon everybody wanted it, and he would drop it off at stores, and he knew that I was running around all these stores and then buying it at retail. So I started that demand for him early on and coached him, and he won this Dancing with the Stars award. He raised the most money for a great charity
Yeah.
to help other children, and people don't know that they read a lot of negative things about me, and a lot of my my e-commerce guys have discovered this. I made a donation to the University of Maryland, where I did graduate from, even though I barely remember it. I'm told I had a great time. I gave them a $500,000,
Right.
and created this scholarship called the Leadership for Tomorrow's program, where some unfortunate kids get to go to their master's program, their business school. The most incredible people you ever saw. 3 every year go on my scholarship money. You're familiar with the St. Andrews School?
Yes.
Yep.
I mean,
That's where
Tiffany was
went
called
to high
the
school,
Paris
yeah.
Hilton of Boca because of her time in St. Andrews. That's a compliment, by the way.
Aw, thank
I
you.
love Paris Hilton. Stephanie loves Paris Hilton, and I gave
Well,
them.
I'll tell you
I
something.
gave them.
Our youngest child, her name is Paris.
Right.
And it was the one thing
I
for
love it.
me.
Right.
I was undecided of that name because of Paris Hilton.
But that's a great name. Paris.
But we
is a
did go
great-
with Paris,
that's a-
and our little
She
girl
fits
is
her name
she fits the
perfectly.
name perfectly.
So
yeah.
listen, I was at a restaurant with an old Wall Street friend of mine, Joseph Safina, Casa d'Angelo in Fort Lauderdale
Yeah,
2 weeks
sure.
ago. And we had a very cute little waitress. Her name was Louisiana.
That's fun.
And I said, "That's not your real name." She goes, "Yeah, my family is so grateful. We were from Brazil and from Colombia, and we emigrated here legally. And after 10 or 12 years, my parents finally became citizens. So my sister's name is Dakota.
I love it.
Right.
And when I have children, they're going to be all named after states because
I
this
love
country,
it.
I want this country to always know, and I want my children to always know how grateful we are to this country, to the great United States of America.
The American dream is
So,
possible.
so getting back to
Right.
the wealth formula, the wealth formula is out there. People can go to rossmandell.com.
Correct.
And they can sign up and change their life.
Or any of my social media sites, you click on a link in the
They'll
bio.
lead you
Correct.
there.
And then you're doing mastermind classes.
We're doing masterminds.
So
We're gonna be
what's,
doing
what's
group
coming?
coaching.
What else is coming down the road for Ross Mandell? What are you designing now? What's the next thing that you're designing?
Okay, so here's the sort of brutal reality for Ross Mandell. I'm 67 years old. I'll be 68 in March. And I figure this is my last run in business. This is it for me. And it's not so much about the profit side and how much money I can make and all these different things. I want to build a legacy. So I did a video on all my social media sites. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on across every single social media site. And I talk about my why. And when I went to prison in 2014, I left a young wife, two young daughters, 14 and 11, both now going to like sort of middle school and high school. And kids are brutal. Mm-hmm. And I was a very active figure in their school lives.
You are.
And I'm the loudest guy in auditorium screaming, Skylar, pretty. And I used to go to drop off and pick up and all those different things. And all the kids knew me. The boys knew me because I used to do MMA stuff. And I was on social media years ago in the beginning. And I left these girls and went away. And they were getting a lot of shit from kids in school. And then they would be like daddy-daughter dances, daddy-daughter day, parents visiting weekend when they went to college. And they meet kids, so what does your daddy do? And we taught them how to deflect, how to change the subject, how to step out of a conversation
That they're
when
not
somebody asks
comfortable with.
uncomfortable questions. So we had to, in the visiting room at a federal institution, how to coach my poor children, how to avoid the embarrassment and the pain of just facing questions. And they became fairly good at it.
I was going to say, it makes them, that'll be their
Made them
superpower
tough.
one day.
They say, listen, hard times make strong people.
Yes,
Right.
it
They're
is.
Correct.
strong people. And but
What's
somewhere
the-
in that during the course of the last 10 years, I've really been deflected and I've been pushed to the side. The subject has been changed, and they don't want to talk about their dad. Because whenever you're found in a negative way in the media or in court, I'm not the guy that they thought I was when I was young. But they knew who I was, but they read the papers too, and they read, social media and all these different things. It's pretty cruel. So I am determined to make my legal issues an asterisk in the story of my life.
Good for you.
I am devoted to creating a lasting legacy. So when someone says to my daughter, "Is that your dad?"
Yes,
Yes, it
it
is.
is.
That's my dad. And I want them to be proud, and I want them to be able to stand up. And I'm going to tell you guys this.
That's quite the exit strategy.
So for years, correct. Thank you. And I'm designing that. So this is all part of a lifestyle design by choice. And for years, I'm out. I'm on home confinement. I get out. I finish my stint, my bid, as they say. But for years, I wasn't allowed to be in a social media post with my children. They
Really?
unfriended me on Facebook.
Oh.
Unfriended me because they didn't want to be associated.
Right.
And now they're in business and they, like that.
Yeah.
And it's only recently that I've been allowed to appear in photos with them and to, be in a post with them.
Ooh, that's big.
And, my family, Stephanie and the kids went up to New York for 10
For a
days. They
wedding.
had a wedding shower, a birthday party, and then the following week was a wedding.
Yeah.
Right.
So they didn't want to go back and forth twice, so they stayed. And while they were away, I was invited. It was proposed to me by the family. I take out the two boys, their
I love
boyfriends,
it. I
just
love
me and the
it.
boyfriends. And my dear friend Stevie, of course, came.
Joined you.
And I just want to say that, to me, that was just like one of the best moments of my adult life. Because that meant my girls trusted me. That I wasn't going to do anything stupid. I wasn't going to say anything stupid. Because what happens with kids, they listen to their parents. They see and they hear everything. Mm-hmm. You don't know how much they know.
Yeah.
about you because you're their whole world.
Right.
We're doing a million things. We're running businesses. We're dealing with each other, and we're in other relationships. Things are happening. Life is moving quickly. We live in this kind of world today.
Right.
The velocity of life is accelerated with technology and all these different things. And your children, you're the life.
I know.
And they know everything. And so trust becomes a very important word between a parent and a child.
Right.
And when I was gone for 9 years, they lost trust.
Wow.
Daddy's not there when I'm sick. Daddy's not there when I fuck up. Daddy's not there when
Right.
somebody is bullying me in school. How could I be there? I'm locked away and I'm allowed 15 minutes every other day to call. It's crazy. So I want to build a legacy that they're proud. So much like when I was took myself public and made $150 million and all those good things, and I wrote a check for $500,000 to Maryland and $100,000 to St. Andrews and gave hundreds of thousands away to other institutions. I did a lot of anonymous giving as part of my program because, you know, I'm unhumble, I'm arrogant, I'm narcissistic. I want everyone to know that I want everyone to know I'm doing these things.
Right.
It's almost more important that people know than I actually do them.
Yeah.
So my sponsor made me give away money anonymously, which was the most painful thing of all time. Because I'm sending some lady, you know, who lost everything, you know, 20 grand, and she has no idea it's from me.
Right.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you imagine how painful that is for me?
Yeah.
And I wanted to say, Ross Mandell's so great and all these things. But
Have you told her yet?
what?
Have you let her know
No, but
yet?
I'm thinking about it. I have a box.
That'd be a good
I have a
podcast.
record of all that somewhere, just so you guys know. But, you know, I did some things like save guys' lives. I manned a suicide a line on and off for 10 years. And when I went to my sentencing, 2 guys showed up out of nowhere and said, this guy saved my life. He came to a crack house and he put me over his shoulder and threw me in his car, which I did. It was, you know, things like that. Like I say, if you're looking for good,
You'll find it.
you'll find good. And good will happen to you.
Yes.
Right.
And I learned something amazing happened to me. I was always told, if you do good things, good will come
It comes
back
back,
to you.
yeah. And it
If
comes
you-
back tenfold.
Here's what they say in Scripture and in the core of my program. They say, the more you give, the more you're going to get.
Right.
I'm a business guy. I don't get that.
No,
I'm
but
giving
it-
out $500,000 here, $100,000 here,
I'm a
$50,000
firm
here,
believer
$20,000
of
here.
that.
And you want to know what? When I gave, I never attached the two theories because to me, when I'm earning, it's because I'm great, you know, the great I am, and all these different things. But when I stopped giving as much, I'll get periods of my life when I didn't. I'll never forget when I was dead broke and I had made my first couple of $1,000s when I came back after I got sober, and my sponsor says, "How much are you going to give?" I said, "Give? I owe $500,000."
Right.
And he goes, No, you're going to give. The question is how much.
Right.
And I gave 20% of that check away, and I wanted to kill myself. But you know what? I just had almost a sequence of fortunate things happening to me. Unrelated, seemingly unrelated to those events. But I promise you, the more you give, the more generosity in your heart, the more
You'll
you're
get
going to
back.
get. You know, the man that squeezes the sand in his hand and holds on tight, the sand creeps out through his fingertips. The man that cups sand loosely will hold that sand, retain that sand. And it's like that with capital, which is not just currency. And we teach you that. And it's
In the wealth formula.
In the wealth formula. And it's a very comprehensive, entertaining program. And the few people that have already purchased it have nothing to say but, oh my God, this is so life-changing.
Yeah. Gratitude.
And it's not the kind of, like when you buy things online, you hear all these big advertisements, then you buy it and you go through the whole thing in one day. You can't do that with the wealth formula. This is going to take
Yeah,
you.
you gotta live
We
through
designed
it.
each module. If you work at the module and you study it, a week. A week. You can just watch
they
the videos.
say nothing.
But if you go to the website now,
Correct.
you can see and read about all of this.
Correct. And then we're launching through Lightspeed very shortly. There's a free page. There's a free
By the
area.
time this podcast is out there,
It'll be out there.
people will be able to.
Well, that means John's editing it.
Yeah.
We might be on the next curriculum. I'm playing. Johnny D, I'm playing. But you understand. So yes.
But we're gonna wrap up today's podcast. But I just want to mention one other thing. And
please.
Is that you're also working in designing another course
Correct.
that I guess we won't talk about it, let people go to the website to learn more about it. But we'll kind of leave the sneak, overview that it's got to do with the stock market.
Well, here's the plan.
Where
Right.
the vast majority of, people in America, I'll just use North
Right.
America, are fascinated. So many people have money in the stock market, but so few really understand it.
Correct.
I'm one
And
of
you're
them.
putting together now, you're
Correct.
designing a course that's really the ABCs or the 1, 2, 3 of the stock market to
Correct.
educate people at a level that they've never been able to.
Correct. Let me explain it to you real quick. So we're teaching you how to take an idea, a product or service, or if you're in business and even we're going to show you how to make your business better, more complete. We're going to teach you things that even millionaires are saying, wow, I wish I would have seen this information. I wish I would have had this course.
Which is the wealth
along-
formula.
Which is the wealth
Which
formula.
is out there now.
So we're going to take the average person. We're going to show you if you're interested. Not for everybody.
Right.
If you don't want to be wealthy, if you don't want to be in business, if you just want to be a drone and go to work for a salary and work for some guy and show up 9 to 5 and just go fishing or whatever, it might not be for you. But if you're interested in really learning how the world works, how business works, and how to take an idea and turn it to $1 million business, it's for you. Now, what happens when you have that $1 million business? 99% of every business owner is involved in the stock market.
Right.
In some way, shape, or form, it affects almost 300 million Americans every day. Your pension, your 401k, your state that you live in, the benefits, because
And most people don't understand.
they do
really
not
don't
understand
know,
anything
and
about
they're
it.
relying on someone else to manage their money.
There is no course called Introduction to the Stock Market. So a beautiful woman like Tiffany, the average housewife in Kansas, the rancher's wife in Montana, all the kids in this country can learn the truth about what is the stock market, where it comes from, how it was created. If you don't know where something came from, you have no idea what its effect has on
Right,
you.
or its capability.
We're going to teach you, again, in a very interactive way, the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s of the stock market and how to get started. The odds are you're already in the market, already affects your life, you just don't know about it. We're going to show you exactly what to do and how to do it. I taught this course, oddly enough, when I was in prison. And I was told I'm only allowed to have 20 people. They were actually giving credit for early release. It's called ACE courses.
Really?
Okay.
From you teaching this.
Well, everybody wanted me to teach it because everyone was coming to me privately for advice. Listen, Ross, I'll buy you $20 in commissary if you teach me this, or
Oh my gosh, I love it.
I'll do this, I'll do that for you, whatever. Can you teach me about this? Teach me about that. I want to make money in the stock market. I want to be a broker. I want to be a trader. I want to be a banker. So I created a course for the average guy. For a regular, I'm a plain speak guy. I'm not a highfalutin, slick wordsmith. I'm a real, authentic, down-to-earth, gritty guy. And if I'm going to show you something, I want to make sure that you understand it. Because I have a big ego. And if you don't succeed and you don't get it, then it's like shame on me. I feel.
So
Yeah,
people
you
should
didn't
start
do your
following
job.
you on social media.
100%.
Because in a short period of time, they're going to start learning about this new or other curriculum
Correct.
that you'll be coming out with.
The whole
How are you
world
gonna
is
stop?
going to be able to see the wealth formula. And then once you have some money, you have a business, you understand business,
Then you
then
wanna
we're going to
invest
teach you
it.
the stock market. We're going to teach you how to have your money work for you. One of the greatest things I ever heard when I first came down to Wall Street in 1982 was that everybody makes money when they're working. The
You wanna
CEO,
make-
Right.
the editor, the janitor, the teacher. The secret is to make money when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Correct.
And they talk about, they used to talk about how to understand what compound interest is. Compound, do you know that if you take a penny and you save it today, and every day you double it for 1 month, you have over $10 billion. That's the magic of compound. A penny, 2 pennies, 4 pennies, 8 pennies. At the end of 30 days, you have $10 billion. And that's the magic of compounding. Okay, it's geometry. It's not arithmetic. So if you can put money and have it work for you and leave it uninterrupted, you're going to have a big batch of capital to do whatever you'd like to spoil your children, to buy homes, to travel, to go on private jets, to go do whatever you want to
live.
do. Buy an island,
Yep.
Right.
like Richard Branson or Elon Musk.
So people need to start following Ross Mandell if they want to learn more about this.
100%.
So we
Everybody's invited.
we end all of our podcasts by asking our guests a couple of questions.
Uh-oh.
Favorite hotel?
My favorite hotel is the Dorchester Hotel.
Why?
Because when I went over there originally, I stayed at the most expensive hotel called the Lanesborough, which is a former hospital. Every room comes with its own private butler. It's very expensive. I mean, it's thousands a night. And but then I went to the Dorchester Hotel, and I heard an amazing fact. It's like 1 acre under the most gorgeous roof and the most gorgeous lobby. It's now owned by the Sultan of Brunei or something.
Yeah.
So
the Arabs, but hold on, they say that more deals are done every day in the lobby of the Dorchester Hotel than anywhere else in the rest of the world.
That's pretty unbelievable.
And I can tell you it's 100% true. You can't imagine how much action goes on.
So the questions, these few couple of questions that we ask, almost every person answers them based off of really design.
Correct.
Yeah.
What's
The
on
lobby's designed to do business. It's set up like that.
Exactly. A favorite restaurant?
My favorite restaurant, Il Molino in Manhattan.
Manhattan.
Yeah, in Lower Manhattan. It's
Is it because of the food or is it because of the design?
close
Because
to
when
comfort
you
you
walk
are there.
into it with all the flowers and whatnot.
what I
where
like
they have
about
it
Il
set up.
Molino is when you sit down, they already have
All the best. Yeah.
the best Parmesan cheese,
Yeah.
the best prosciutto, the tomato, bruschetta, everything. Like my father-in-law said, a real Italian guy from the Bronx said to me, "Okay, just get the check." He had a Coca-Cola, and we ate everything on the table that they put out for free.
It's so good.
And he's ready, and it's a very homey feeling.
It is. And
So,
cozy.
Some people like my wife likes she likes privacy. Mm-hmm. She wants to be at a table that nobody's business. I like a piano bar. Mm-hmm. I like the music in the background, like New York Prime.
Yeah.
And this great restaurant.
Has great energy.
Stevie taught me about on Federal Highway. It escapes my mind right now. They have a great piano player, and he plays, all the good songs that I come from our generation. And I like tables that are closer and more cozy feeling.
People interact more that way too.
I prefer that because I'm a very sort of social guy. I love people. I love to see.
Right.
And not everybody's like me. But so I would say Il Molino or like places like New York Prime, etc.
I like that. Well, that's a good way to wrap up.
You have any other questions? Or
Well,
you usually have a third one, don't you?
we could do. That's enough. We just kind of talked about design. Just a place that you think of at the top of your head that.
I'm going to answer that question. I'm going to answer it honestly. I've owned apartments. I lived in Trump Tower. I bought 2 apartments from Donald Trump. I had beach houses. I owned a townhouse in London, all kinds of condos, co-ops, everything. And I've had all kinds of furniture and designs and everything. I spent $800,000 designing a 2,200 square foot apartment in Trump Tower, Kenneth Walker Designs. And my favorite designer in the world is Tiffany Woolley.
Oh.
And I tell you, my favorite house that I go to is the Woolley Mansion in Delray. Mm-hmm. And your backyard is something that is just epic. The way it was designed, it's designed for social events almost. It's a great family home. You have a beautiful family. But to be a kid in your backyard, it's like, next to Neverland.
Yeah.
And Michael Jackson, if you got rid of the pedophilia, it's an amazing thing. Your house is.
We want our kids to stay at our house. We want them to bring all their friends to the house.
And that's what my Le Ravage house was all about.
Right.
That's what my beach house was about. Everybody came to I had 2 $5,500 grills on my outdoor deck. And I used to hire people to come and cook every weekend. And we had a big.
Great taste.
I put $600,000 in that backyard. And we would have massage tables, like custom designed. Massage
we've
tables.
done that
And people
for
used to come for the
projects,
day, and they'd get massages in my backyard.
Amazing.
And everybody thought I was crazy, but everybody wanted to come over. Everybody wanted that Mandell invite.
Well, we appreciate you spending some time with us on the iDesign Lab.
Really, it's my privilege, and I learned some new things today. I curate my asymmetric things now, and I'm so excited by it. Thank you,
Asymmetric's
Tiffany.
okay.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ross.
Really appreciate it. Scott, thank you for having me today.
Anytime.
It's really been a privilege.
Okay.
iDesign Labs podcast is an SW Group production in association with the 5-Star and TW Interiors. To learn more about iDesign Lab or TW Interiors, please visit twinteriors.com.